What do you have in store for us?
Season 3, we have 10 episodes, first of all.
If the inside could talk, I mean, endless story.
Martin Bros Customs built Iron Resurrection to become one of the most respected custom car television shows, showcasing incredible restorations where rusted, forgotten vehicles were transformed into powerful, head-turning machines. Week after week, the Texas crew pushed creativity, skill, and teamwork to the limit. But some of those familiar faces are gone now. What really happened to them? We're taking a closer look, and the last person on this list will change everything. Javier "Shorty" Ponce. We start our list with the man who put more color into Iron Resurrection than anyone else in the shop. The custom painter who was there from the very first episode and then disappeared without a single frame of goodbye. Meet Javier Ponce, known to every fan of the show simply as Shorty. Shorty had been painting custom vehicles since he was a teenager and had run his own shop, Shorty's Custom Paint, in Cedar Hill, Texas, long before the cameras arrived. When Iron Resurrection premiered on January 13, 2016, he was already a professional with decades of real-world experience behind him. His work elevated every build the Martin Bros team touched, and his personality made him one of the most genuinely loved people on the show. Fans did not just watch him paint, they watched him care, build, and produce magic from nothing. But the decision he made next would leave a lasting mark on Iron Resurrection. When Season 4 arrived on February 5, 2020, fans were surprised to find out that Shorty was gone. What was even more shocking was that there was no announcement, no farewell episode, no explanation from the network. When fans pushed hard enough on social media, the show's official account responded with a statement that said priorities in life change that are way more important than TV, and that Shorty was focusing on his shop and his family in Dallas, so he could be close to them and enjoy every second of being a new grandfather. The 3-hour drive between Dallas and the Martin Brothers shop outside Austin was a distance he was no longer willing to accept. He released his own video shortly after confirming the decision. He had become a grandfather, and that was simply more important than anything the show could offer him. In November 2022, he returned to television on Motor Trend's Shorty's Dream Shop, proving that the cameras had not seen the last of him. But Iron Resurrection never saw him again. But while Shorty's departure was peaceful, the next cast member didn't get the chance to leave on his own terms. Amanda Martin. Up next is Amanda Martin. To most viewers, she was the calm voice of reason on Iron Resurrection, the woman balancing Joe Martin's creative instincts with business discipline and sharp negotiation skills. But behind the scenes, Amanda was carrying far more responsibility than many fans ever realized. She wasn't just appearing on camera, she was helping hold the entire operation together. Amanda co-owned Martin Bros Customs, co-hosted the series, handled the finances, sourced vehicles, negotiated deals with customers, managed schedules, and kept the business moving during some of its most demanding years. While the builds and restorations often took center stage, Amanda became the steady force that kept the shop functioning when deadlines tightened and pressure mounted. Without her, Iron Resurrection would not have had the same balance, personality, or long-term success. Before entering the automotive world, Amanda Martin had built a successful career in banking. She worked as a branch manager for Wells Fargo and later for Pioneer Bank in Austin, developing the financial experience that would later become essential to the family business. Unlike many people in the custom car industry, Amanda did not grow up around engines or fabrication shops. Everything she learned about the automotive side of the business came through experience, curiosity, and determination. What made her stand out was that her passion felt genuine. She wasn't playing a role for television. She truly believed in what Martin Bros Customs was building. But while viewers saw confidence and composure on screen, Amanda was quietly facing deeply personal struggles away from the cameras. During the later seasons of the show, Amanda Martin's nephew Luke was battling cancer and receiving treatment at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Amanda devoted herself to supporting him and his family during an incredibly painful period, all while continuing to manage the daily pressures of a growing business and a nationally televised production schedule. The emotional weight of balancing those worlds changed her perspective on life, family, and priorities. After season 7, Amanda Martin gradually stepped away from the spotlight. She never released a dramatic public statement or turned her departure into a headline. Instead, she focused on the people and responsibilities that mattered most to her. For longtime fans, her absence was impossible to ignore. Amanda Martin had become more than a co-host. She was the emotional anchor of Iron Resurrection, and for many viewers, the show never quite felt the same without her. Phil Cato. Next on our list is the man who disappeared from Iron Resurrection at the exact same moment as Shorty, and for a reason that, when it finally came out, said everything about the kind of person he was. That man is Phil Cato, upholstery specialist, longtime crew member, and the man who chose love over television without a second thought. Cato had been part of the Iron Resurrection crew across multiple seasons, contributing his upholstery expertise to the builds and adding his personality to the atmosphere of a show that ran on character as much as craftsmanship. When Season 4 launched without him, the same silence that surrounded Shorty's absence surrounded him. Fans flooded social media with questions. The network said nothing for weeks. When Cato eventually released his own video, the explanation was simple and immediate. His wife had taken a job in Atlanta. He was going with her. He had packed up his business, left Texas, and relocated to Georgia to support her career and their life together. "I had a great time working with everybody," he said, "but my wife has taken a job in Atlanta, and I definitely want to support her and her career and her decision." No bitterness, no drama. Just a man who had already made his decision and was comfortable explaining it. Fans responded with the warmth that had always defined the Iron Resurrection community. They wished him well. They said they would miss him, and they meant it. But it doesn't end with them. Keep watching, because the next name will shock you. Justin. In the world of custom car restoration, horsepower and flashy paint jobs may steal the spotlight, but true enthusiasts know the interior is what completes the transformation. After legendary upholsterer Phil Cato left Martin Bros Customs, the pressure was on to find someone capable of maintaining the shop's high standards. That responsibility eventually fell to Justin, the craftsman who quietly became one of the most important figures behind the scenes during the 2020 and 2021 seasons of Iron Resurrection. Working alongside Joe Martin, Amanda Martin, and Shag Arrington, Justin specialized in turning worn-out interiors into luxury cabins worthy of the breathtaking builds rolling out of the garage. His stitching, leatherwork, and eye for detail helped ensure every project looked just as impressive on the inside as it did on the outside. While some viewers focused on the engines and custom paint, Justin's work gave each vehicle its final personality. Unlike some cast members who naturally dominated screen time with humor or larger-than-life personalities, Justin earned respect through craftsmanship. He represented the quiet precision that keeps a custom shop operating at an elite level. Every restored seat, hand-stitched panel, and redesigned dashboard reflected the same dedication that made Martin Bros Customs famous in the first place. Even though he was not part of the original crew that launched the series, fans quickly realized his contribution was essential. His arrival also reassured viewers during a period when several familiar faces had disappeared from the show. Justin proved that even when the lineup changes, the commitment to quality remains the same. Whether he appeared briefly on camera or stayed focused behind the sewing machine, his work continued shaping the identity of Iron Resurrection. And while Justin helped preserve the future of the garage, the next man left behind a legacy the custom car world will never forget. Thomas "Lil Tommy" Ramey. Thomas "Lil Tommy" Ramey was one of the toughest and most respected craftsmen connected to the Martin Brothers world. Known for his remarkable ability to preserve the perfect weathered patina on classic vehicles, Tommy helped give countless restorations their signature soul. In custom paint, anyone can make a car look shiny, but very few can create a finish that feels authentic, aged, and alive. Tommy possessed that rare talent. Born in Bethesda in 1972, he built a reputation as a hard-working mechanic, contractor, and painter who was always willing to help anyone in need. Friends described him as a man who looked intimidating on the outside but carried enormous kindness beneath the rough exterior. He worked hard, laughed often, and believed strongly that nothing gets done when you're sitting on your bum. That mindset became the foundation of both his career and his life. Sadly, on March 6, 2024, Thomas "Lil Tommy" Ramey passed away at just 51 years old after battling stage 4 cancer. Even during the hardest moments of his illness, Tommy reportedly remained optimistic, joking with friends and keeping spirits high for the people around him. With his twin boys standing beside him until the very end, he faced the battle with the same grit and determination he brought into every garage and every project. His passing left a painful void not only for the custom car community, but for the family and friends who considered him a hero long before television audiences learned his name. Though his final coat of paint has been laid, Tommy's legacy continues through every vehicle he touched and every person inspired by his work ethic, toughness, and heart. Pampa. Another disappearance from Iron Resurrection that fans still talk about is that of Pampa, the shop assistant whose personality made Martin Bros Customs feel more like a family than a workplace. Pampa was never positioned as the star of the series, but he had the kind of natural humor and easygoing energy that audiences immediately connected with. Between 2016 and 2020, he appeared in 9 episodes, working alongside the core crew and becoming one of those familiar faces viewers simply expected to see around the shop. His jokes, reactions, and chemistry with the rest of the team brought warmth to the series in a way that could never be scripted. Keep watching, because Pampa's disappearance remains one of the quietest mysteries in the history of the show. Most viewers were shocked when Season 4 arrived and Pampa was suddenly gone. Even more surprising was the fact that several recognizable faces disappeared from the series around the same time, making the absence feel impossible to ignore. Unlike other cast members who eventually explained why they left, Pampa never publicly addressed his departure. There were no interviews, no farewell videos, and no official statement from the production explaining what happened. For years, fans searched for answers, but found almost nothing. Then on May 30th, 2025, when Joe Martin posted a throwback clip of Pampa from his time on the show. The caption read, "Yesterday was Pampa's birthday. Happy birthday, Pamp. Always making us laugh. We love ya." That short message revealed more emotion than any formal announcement ever could. It confirmed that Pampa was still remembered fondly by the people he worked beside every day. Fans who watched the post were reminded that even years after leaving television, Pampa's presence had clearly not been forgotten. And this is where the story becomes even more interesting. because the next departure involved one of the men responsible for building Martin Bros Customs itself. Jason Martin. Meet Jason Martin, the co-founder of Martin Bros Customs and the older brother of Joe Martin, whose gradual disappearance from Iron Resurrection left longtime viewers confused. From the very beginning of the series, Jason played a major role in the business and appeared throughout the early seasons as one of the shop's most skilled mechanics and fabricators. Between 2016 and 2018, Jason Martin appeared in 22 episodes, helping transform damaged vehicles into the custom builds that made the show popular. Unlike Joe, however, Jason never seemed completely comfortable with the spotlight. He was quieter, more reserved, and noticeably less interested in performing for the camera. Still, audiences respected him because his craftsmanship spoke for itself. After Season 3, viewers slowly began noticing that Jason appeared less often. There was no dramatic farewell episode and no public announcement explaining the change. He simply faded into the background until he was no longer seen on screen at all. Despite disappearing from the series, Jason never truly left Martin Bros Customs. Instead, he reportedly moved into a production role behind the scenes, continuing to work alongside his brother without being featured in front of the cameras. The shop continued operating, the builds continued rolling out, and the series moved forward. But fans who had followed Jason from the beginning still felt his absence. For many viewers, his quiet exit felt more emotional, precisely because it was never treated like a major television moment. Sometimes the biggest changes on television are not the dramatic ones filled with arguments, scandals, or controversy. Sometimes they happen quietly, with familiar faces simply no longer appearing where audiences became used to seeing them. That is one reason fans talk about Pampa and Jason Martin after Iron Resurrection. One disappeared without explanation, while the other chose to step away from the spotlight. Yet both men left impressions on viewers who remember the humor, craftsmanship, and personality they brought while appearing with the crew on screen throughout the series. But the story doesn't end there, because the next name on this list left fans absolutely heartbroken. So stay tuned. Raymond Bruce Anderson. September 2024 became one of the darkest moments in the history of the Martin Brothers family. And at number 8 is the man whose tragic passing left a silence inside the garage that no custom build could ever cover up. This is Raymond Bruce Anderson, known to almost everyone simply as Brucey. And unlike many of the personalities viewers remember from Iron Resurrection, he was never the loudest man in the room. He did not need cameras, catchphrases, or attention to make his presence felt. Instead, Brucey became known as the calm and dependable brother, working quietly behind the scenes while helping Martin Bros Customs grow into the shop fans came to admire. Though many viewers may not have realized how important he was to the garage, Brucey had been part of the Martin Bros journey for years. He worked closely with Joe and Jason Martin long before television turned the shop into a recognizable brand. While the audience focused on the dramatic restorations and flashy reveals, men like Brucey were the reason those projects kept moving forward day after day. Friends described him as hardworking, loyal, and the type of man willing to help anyone who needed it. That reputation made the news from September 2024 even more heartbreaking when reports confirmed that Brucey had tragically lost his life in an accident. The shock spread quickly throughout the custom car community because his connection to Martin Bros Customs was never just professional. He was considered family. Fans who followed the shop understood immediately that this was not simply the loss of an employee, but the loss of one of the brothers who helped build the dream from the ground up. The tragedy also reminded many viewers that the bond inside the garage was real and had been built through years of shared sweat, long nights, and loyalty that cameras could never fully capture. Today, the shop floor in Austin carries on the same way it always has. But many believe there will always be something missing without Brucey there beside the crew. His gentle nature, loyalty, and contributions remain stitched into the legacy of Martin Bros Customs, and while he may have taken his final ride far too soon, the people who knew him best have clearly never forgotten him. Jimmy Icow. Jimmy Icow was a longtime friend of the Coker family, and one of Count's Customs' original connections in the motorcycle world. He joined Martin Bros Customs from the very beginning as one of the shop's original bike experts. He was the father of Shannon Icow, who would later appear briefly on Iron Resurrection as one of its most technically precise builders. And before Jimmy passed away, the two of them completed one final build together, a 1977 Purple Haze FXE that now sits on permanent display at Count's Vamped Rock Bar in Las Vegas, a restaurant owned by Danny Coker. Jimmy Icow's death preceded Iron Resurrection's television run. He never appeared on screen. He never knew how large the show would become or how many people would watch the builds he had spent his life contributing to. What he left behind was a son who carried everything he had taught him into a shop that millions of people would eventually watch, and a motorcycle sitting in a Las Vegas bar that would outlast both of them. Shannon Icow left Iron Resurrection after only 7 episodes in 2020, reportedly because he wanted bigger challenges than the show could provide. But the reason he came to the show in the first place, the relationship between his father and the Martin Bros family, was a connection that began long before any television executive ever got involved. And that takes us to the deal breaker. Mike Zabonik. What would Iron Resurrection even be without Mike Zabonik? For many longtime viewers, Mike represented the raw spirit of the Martin Brothers garage. He was not the loudest personality on screen, nor was he someone chasing attention. But the moment he appeared beside a building, fans knew serious work was about to happen. Born in Dallas on July 14, 1961, Mike spent decades sharpening his skills long before reality television ever found him. From 2016 through 2018, he became one of the most respected craftsmen featured on the series, earning admiration for his precision, experience, and unmistakable Texas grit. But while television made the work look exciting, life inside a custom shop operating on production deadlines was far more demanding behind the scenes. The pressure to complete high-end restorations on a television schedule eventually pushed Mike to walk away from the spotlight. His absence was immediately noticeable. Fans missed the calm confidence he brought into the garage and the level of craftsmanship that seemed effortless whenever he touched a project. Even after leaving the show, Mike stayed committed to the work he loved most, continuing to focus on fabrication and restoration away from the cameras. Unlike many television personalities, Mike kept his private life almost completely out of public view. His social media reflected the same attitude. No glamour, no celebrity lifestyle, just engines, tools, and unfinished metal waiting to be brought back to life. Sadly, on March 28, 2024, Mike Zabonik passed away, leaving behind a deep emptiness in the custom car world. He may never have chased fame, but his talent ensured he would never be forgotten. What do you think about these emotional stories behind some of Iron Resurrection's most unforgettable faces? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories about your favorite automotive shows and personalities. Click on the next video showing on your screen. You definitely do not want to miss it.